So how is it that some people can charge $15 an hour and other people can charge $2,000 a month and up? What's the difference? Let's talk about it.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby.
Hey, it's Alzay Calhoun, and we just want to talk about some of the things that you should just flat out know. Someone should have told you a long time ago. So let's talk about pricing. Let's do it with some intensity, shall we? So $15 an hour. What's the difference between charging $15,000 an hour and charging $2,000 a month? Well, let me tell you a short story. I learned this lesson about 5 years ago, actually through a client of mine. So here's the deal. He is a bookkeeper. He actually runs a company called Cornerstone Bookkeeping and Accounting. And that's what they do. They do bookkeeping and accounting. And so when he first got started, he was charging $15 an hour. He told me what he was charging, and I was like, okay, if you want to. So a little time goes on, a couple of years go on, and he found himself frustrated. And his core issue was that he was frustrated with doing so much work for so little money. He wanted to serve at a higher level. He wanted to deliver at a higher level. But all his clients really wanted was him to kind of do some paperwork and just push it right back to them. And here's what the breakdown was in his situation. And let's apply that to your situation as someone who runs a digital agency, because the framing is very similar. There are questions that your client typically asks. Things like, how much does it cost? How much work are you going to do? How long is it going to take? Those are typical questions that I'm sure that you get, along with some others, right? So we'll call that bracket A. But then there are questions that your client should be asking. How do we use this information? What tools or resources should we have before we start work? Once this work is done, how do we support it or maintain it? What's the next growth step for us after we do this? Is there a second level, a third level, or a fourth level? These are things that your client should be asking, but typically is not. These are things that you are prepared to do with and do for the client, but you shove it into that normal scope of work. So what ends up happening is that your client pays for what they understand. And then you willingly include all this other stuff that they do not understand. You're doing both parts. You're only being paid for one. And that was Cornerstone's fundamental issue, is that the client asked for bookkeeping work, the top part, but he wanted to provide financial advisory work, the bottom part. He was doing the advisory work. He wasn't being paid for it. And so in your role as a digital agency, whether it begins with the website or begins with their social media presence or begins with their content, wherever you get started, there's a part that your client already understands, but there's some other stuff they should really know and appreciate. It is up to you to encourage your client to have both conversations, to appreciate both conversations, and to pay for both conversations. Your best client wants both. And so it's in your best interest to not only encourage that conversation, but really to mandate it. And anybody that works with you, you get to address the common questions and also the uncommon questions, so you can provide uncommon results for your client. Hey, it's Alzay again, and I appreciate you for watching that video. I know that things are really straightforward when they're here on the screen, neatly laid out and everything. But if you want to take the next step, what do? Well, you got a couple of choices. You can subscribe to the channel, you can watch another video, but if you're looking for actual actionable support, if you want help, if you really are looking forward to changing these things in your business, there's a free training that I have. There's a link in the description below, and there's a link here on the screen for you to select. So if you click that link, watch the training, and if it makes sense, you can join our community. Thanks again for your time.